Morning. Welcome to the Putnam County Board of Commissioners meeting Tuesday, June 9th, 2015. Good morning to my colleagues and to our citizens who have gathered here to be with us in these morning proceedings. The invocation this morning will be presented to us through the Reverend John Jacobs, St. Peter's Anglican Church, East Palatka, and also the Pledge of Allegiance, our Vice Chairman, Pelletier. Let's all stand together.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, you have opened the doors to heaven for us, so we come before you with our prayers to you. You have called these men and women to take on the responsibility of leading your people. We pray, Lord, for them wisdom, discernment, understanding, and compassion. Yes, Lord, they must obey the law. Yes, Lord, they must make the law. Help them, Lord, to know what is right for all. We ask your blessings upon them as well as your people. For, Lord, those who have come here to speak, may they be heard. May their ideas and concerns be heard, so that all of this, Lord, may work out to the betterment of our community. And we ask all of this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Commissioners, each of you should have received opportunity to review the minutes from May 26, 2015, our regular meeting. What is your pleasure?
I move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Proper motion and a second. Further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none. Motion carries. Minutes approved. Mr. John Alexander, will you please come forward, and whomever you have accompanying you, representing the Lee Conley Mural Committee. Thank you all for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Morning, Rob.
Chairman Flagg and other distinguished members of the Board of County Commissioners, on behalf of the Conley-Snyder Mural Committee, we would like to take this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation for the funds you have given to us for the Veterans Memorial Mural. Our late founder, Clint Snyder, came before you to express his dream, hope, and desires that you would give us the funds for a mural that would represent the entire community. At $25,000, this is the most expensive mural that we have ever undertaken. With 7 panels at approximately $3,100 each panel will depict the 7 conflicts that our country has been involved in: World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, Desert Storm, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Your generous contributions will enable us to get one of the first panels completed. As you have probably guessed, it's going to take a few years to complete this mural. Completion will be dependent on the help of that we receive from you, organizations, and the community. Again, we thank you very, very much. And we'd also send out a special thanks to Commissioner Chip Liable for making himself accessible, available, keeping the lines of communication open. We appreciate it so very much.
Mr. Alexander and representatives, your passion and certainly the purpose for even the existence of the committee is very much appreciated by us as well as this entire community. And when you thank us for working with our administration to appropriate funds, your thanks is actually to all of our citizens, because certainly it is not us, it is our citizens. And because of our patriotic passion for our great nation and our respect for what the committee is doing to enhance tourism in this community, and also to just create greater aesthetics there. It certainly means a lot, and certainly the founders of the organization is near and dear to all of our hearts. And so again, we applaud you, and if you will take it back to the committee, how grateful we are to play such a very small and minute role in this. But thank you for what you all are doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Item 4 on our agenda this morning is public comment. Most of us are familiar with public comment. Again, it's an opportunity for our citizens to bring matters to our attention that we may not be aware of. However, we also remind all of us that we are not planning to engage in debate or deliberation about matters on which we have not had an opportunity to have prior information to do our research on. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. Public cards are conveniently placed, as well as agendas near the entrance on both sides. We ask that you please have at it so that you can follow along as we move the agenda this morning. Also, we ask that if you are speaking, it is not a mandatory thing, but if you are speaking out of courtesy, please prepare your card, present it to our deputy clerk, and then she will present it to the commission, and we will honor your request to come before us. Ms. Faye Sparkman, if you'll come, please. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to use your number 8 word today, trust.
Okay.
All the people in this county put all of you up there for us to trust. Right now, going throughout the county, I don't know I can do that right now. The county looks worse now than it's ever looked. No mowing, no ditches cleaned, and what FP&L did last week on 315 makes me sick in my stomach. If we get a hurricane, there is no way we're going to have the money to take care of it. They have chopped those trees so bad that if the wind hits them the right way, they're going to be down all over everything. The ditches out there are disgusting. Each one of you should get in your county vehicle and take a ride throughout this county. We are not getting mowed. What's wrong? We all pay our taxes. This county is disgusting, and yet you want us to promote it? We have to have trust in you to do this. How many grievances does it take for us to have to turn in to get somebody to do the right contracts and get the work done in this county? I want to be able to trust all of you again right this minute. I can.
Thank you, Ms. Barkman, for your comments. Please continue to trust us, and also understand that we're working on efficiencies every week within Public Works. There are some things that's under our control. There are some things that are not, but your comments are duly noted, and I'm sure that we'll be hearing from the representative from FPL at some point. But thank you so much. Mr. Rick Haven, there are several items that you have on your card. If you please come forward, speak to us about the concerned videos on the county website, and then we'll call you back for items D and L on the consent agenda.
Well, because of the article that was in Saturday's paper, I was just wanting to ask. It said that the videos can be placed on the county website now, or county YouTube website.
Yes, sir.
When are they going to be placed, and is it going to be retroactive and replace the ones that were taken off, or is it just going to be from here on out?
There will be some retroactive.
Oh, okay. That's all I wanted. And you got any idea when?
IT department would have that answer, but it is on the front burner. That part is for sure, because of, again, transitions with the district school board and what their priorities are. But I can get you an answer on that. I don't have that answer right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, and we'll call you back in just a moment. Any other public comments? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Roxana Regan Weeks. I'm at 205 Nellis Street, Palatka. Real quick, I want to hit on an issue on animal control. In the last week on Facebook, that's where a lot of rescues network and cross post, and that's how we get things done there. I saw there was a particular dog at AC that was, several people expressed concern about it because there were two people that were individuals that were interested in adopting it, a local rescue and then a national rescue that does therapy dog training, and nobody could get their phone calls returned about this dog from AC employees. I know Mr. Sammons has been out of state, and it seems like every time he goes, things just stop operating like they should when he's not on site to ensure it. There was an issue about a month and a half ago. We went to pull a dog from there, and the only person there was the trustee inmate. Now, I'm not so concerned about that because it was her last day before she was going to be released, so I wasn't worried about her running away or anything. It's just that I don't feel that's proper procedure, that they should just kick off on a Friday and leave early if they feel like it. We've got some real issues out there with employees that need to be addressed. Also, I want to thank Commissioner Harris for her donation to the animals. I have your receipt here. But I wanted to ask you real quick about this. This is a totally different issue. This is the permit I received from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection about the landfill permit. This was applied for and issued in April of 2012. This is what gives the county, the landfill, the permission to bring in 2,000 tons a day of trash, go 195 feet high, and all of that. I'm sure you've all seen this permit. And the one of the requirements is they keep a daily gallon acre per day record of the leachate that is generated. And I was wondering, has anybody ever looked at that? Do you know the figures?
Do we know the figures?
Like just an average per gallon day of the leachate that's produced.
We don't have those figures right on the top of our head.
Oh.
Do you have them right there?
No, this is just the permit.
Okay, if you will speak with Mr. Larry Gass, he'll give you an appointment, and he can speak to you about the leachate, and he can speak with you about the permits. If you have questions beyond that,
Okay.
then we certainly would prefer that you put them in, and prefer that you put them in writing.
Yeah, I'll send an email.
Yeah, we'll be delighted to address them.
Okay. Have you addressed any issues about the future disposal of the leachate?
Yes, ma'am. We're addressing those issues.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
I'm going to
thank-
leave this.
Thank you so much, Ms. Weeks. Mr.
I'll leave
Spell?
this with Ms. Weaver,
Yes, ma'am.
and I'll walk this to.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Mr. Spales?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I got a situation I'm just kind of concerned about. It ain't none of my business, but I'm going to bring it up. But a friend of mine, he have about 7 trucks that he was parked at a location, and he was parked there for about, I guess, 6 years, and then all of a sudden code enforcement come in and told him he couldn't park there anymore. That if he did, it would cost him $250 per day if he parked his trucks there. But what I can't understand, how can code enforcement go out and find places to tell people where they can't park, but in that same area, you got grapevines growing over the sidewalks, you got tree limbs hanging over the sidewalk, in some places you can't see the sidewalk. But I understand there's laws to be made, but one thing about it, the law need to actually do their part before they go in, and you'll get the people that's paying for this Better Place plan thing with the amount of fuel that this individual buy. And then right on Washington Extension, 2 years ago, I come in here about some drains that don't have no covers over them. The bushes done growed completely around them. One of them got one of your county guards laying over the top, the other one standing up. But my thing is, when are y'all going to start cutting grass? You know, it don't make sense that y'all set up here and call yourself legislators, leaders, and this county actually look the way it look. I mean, it's pitiful. And just like that culvert going to nowhere in East Palatka, y'all already done put up a sign warning the driver that there's a bump in the road. Why can't you fix a road without creating bumps? Why even install a culvert that really don't serve a purpose? But really, it's really sad how this county is starting to look, and everybody set up here as if we got such a wonderful county. If you want to see a nice place, ride over to St. John County, ride down some of the back streets. Their back streets are in better shape than some of our roads on the front street. So, really, y'all need to really start paying attention to what you're doing instead of just waiting on a paycheck. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Spell. Are there any other comments? Close the public hearing section of the meeting. Commissioners, consent agenda is next. It's been requested for discussion on items D and items L. Are there any other items for discussion?
I have none, sir.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which consists of A, list of committee minutes and recommendation distributed to become part of the record, B, list of correspondence distributed to become part of the record, C, emergency services agreement for use of First Coast Technical College facilities for training, E, finance, review of surety bonds for county commissioners, officers, and clerk of courts, F, economic development, authorized competitive Florida Partnership Opportunity Grant application, G, emergency services, Florida Division of Emergency Management, EMPA grant agreement, $105,806, H, emergency services, Florida Division of Emergency Management, EMPG grant agreement, $56,852, I, Public Works bid 15-13, award to Oglesby Construction Incorporated in the amount of $61,419.05, pavement striping and marking installation project. J, Public Works, authorized civil services, CSI as engineering consultant for the Holloway Road construction project from State Road 100 to Tinsley Road. K, Public Works, resolution authorizing eminent domain on White Oaks Trail necessary for maintenance and to establish legal access to Sweet Magnolia Street. M, Public Works, filing of fiscal year 2015 Economic Development Administration grant application for equipment and personnel. We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Liber. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Item D, sanitation agreement with Laboratory Ridge Energy Incorporated, $86 per ton, waste tire removal and recycle or disposal contract through June 30th, 2017. Mr. Gast, if you'll just give just a brief explanation, and then we will ask Mr. Haven to come if the explanation does not answer a potential question.
This contract with Wheelabrator is for the disposal of tires that are collected within the county. These tires are transported down to the Wheelabrator Energy Facility where they are burned. That's the main thing that facility in Bartow does, is burn automobile tires. And that is gives us the recycling credit for those tires when they are transferred to energy.
Okay, thank you very kindly. Will you please come forward, Mr. Haven? Stay close, Mr. Gass.
I just want to know if taking this contract, is this an indication that the landfills are just going to continue as it is without doing anything, whether we're going to do new technology or whether we're going to let Waste Management build a transfer station? It doesn't make sense if we're going to do a transfer station at some point to enter into contract to take away the tires for $86 a ton when they'd be taken away in a transfer station for free.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Haven, for your concerns with that. The landfill does have to continue operating, although we are projecting and we're studying, we're reviewing, and there will be some specific instructions concerning the future of waste disposal to include waste tire removal, recycling, all of that over these next few weeks. That is in the works. However, this contract needed to be addressed at this time. Mr. Lible.
I just wanted to add on the same lines that we are, through our permit with DEP, we're not allowed to have, I believe it's 2,000 tires on site at any given time, and so they have to be removed by the Department of Environmental Protection.
All right, when we get new tires on our car, we have to take and pay, what, $2 or $3 to have the
Dispose of
station?
them. Mhm.
All right, is that where the $86 a ton is coming from what we end up paying?
Not at all. There's a dollar surcharge from the state on all new tires coming in, a new tire fee for $1, and it is pigeonholed to work on remedies for getting rid of scrap tires. What they do with it is a mystery to me. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've researched it for years, and nobody could ever give me a straight answer, so I gave up. I was in the tire business, you might know. But,
Okay, but I suppose my question is this
on
way.
the back
when-
end, the $3 or $4 to haul them to the landfill, we in turn are charged $144 a ton. So with the $86 included, our total fee is $144 a ton. And we pay that to Putnam County, the tire dealers in the county
Right.
do. And in turn, Wheelabrator comes and gets them for $86 a ton, but they have people that handle them every day of the week to move them and keep the count down below 2,000.
Okay, so actually this isn't coming out of the landfill budget, it's coming out of the money. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very kindly. Entertain a motion to approve item D, sanitation
Move approval,
agreement.
Mr. Chairman.
Proper motion.
Second.
Second, further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item L, jail expansion, contingency change request, total project cost remained unchanged. A, relocation of gas main and electric lines and strengthen mezzanine, support framing. B, change order number 1, materials direct purchase. Mr. Leary.
The first two items coming out of the existing contingency to relocate gas mains and electrical lines under the site where the medical and programming building are going to be constructed. Those gas main and electrical lines were not identified when the plans were drawn. So the cost for moving them is coming out of the existing contingency, which does not increase the project cost. The strengthening of the mezzanine is necessary because of the chain link that's being put on the second story of each of the cell pods to keep those who are incarcerated on the second floor from taking a header off the second floor. So they need to strengthen the mezzanine because of the weight of the chain link. And the change order for materials direct purchase, this was contemplated at the time that of the contract for the maximum price that we negotiated with the contractor. What is taking place here is that the county is purchasing the materials directly from the vendor in order to save the sales tax. That was negotiated and considered at the time that we settled on the guaranteed maximum price, and so this is simply a change order to reduce that guaranteed maximum price. It's a paperwork process that we have to go through to satisfy rural development.
Thank you, Mr. Leary, for the explanation. Mr. Haven, if you'll come back and explanation has been given. If there are questions on that, then please speak now.
Okay, I asked some months ago about a change order. It was, I think it was $39,000 for a different kind of fence and also to move a water hydrant and a power line. Again, weren't the gas main, the electric lines and so forth, weren't they on site? And the contractor, again, had an opportunity before he placed the bid about, what had to be done, and that should have been in his contract. And then Mr. Leary's saying that we had to strengthen the mezzanine because the chain link fence. Wouldn't that have been something the engineer would have seen before the plans were approved and so forth? It just seems like we got fee on top of fee, and change orders are going to end up costing. Now, I understand we got the $563,000 as a buffer zone in there, but sooner or later, you got 39 and 54, 55,000 here, plus the 39,000 last time. It's not going to take long at these change orders. It's going to be well above that buffer thing. So my question is, where was the engineer and the architect and the contractor when the site plan was done, when they went out and looked at the job site? Wouldn't they have known all this stuff, and wouldn't that have been included in their bid? But it just seems like they're pumping up their bid on this. at what point is the jail going to cost us $24,000 $1 million to build because of change orders?
Thank you for your observation, Mr. Haven. When the team came together, they mutually agreed that this was necessary. It's not going to be a pumping up under our watch. We are paying attention to the details as it relates to needs for change orders, things of that nature. All change orders are properly scrutinized and vetted, and it does come to a point that nobody can do it without getting the proper authorization there. So the key to this particular request that's before us now is that the total project cost is unchanged. In any major construction project, you're going to have change orders. I mean, it's an inevitable situation, and those who have been involved in mega projects know that, you just can't catch every single thing. And we could always look back at it and say, you know what, it does not make sense that this happened and that happened and the other happened. But every project that has come forth, these have been, and you negotiate when it's necessary. Here, the team that's working together, being the ownership, being the construction manager, architect, everybody that's involved, engineers involved, agree that this is a necessary change. And again, because it's not increasing the cost, we are concerned about any change. But as far as us thinking that something is going to be pumped up or that the jail is going to cost us, far beyond what we have here, we do have a guarantee that the overall price is fixed.
All right, I got one more question
Yes,
about the savings that where the county has been buying materials for the jail during the construction.
Yes, sir.
Does this mean that the jail is the $6,146,921 is a savings to the county, or that's just, is there a change in the contractor's bid since we have bought the materials for the job so far?
It was expected that those savings would be realized when the guaranteed maximum price was negotiated. It was expected that there would not be those sales tax costs incurred, so that was reflected in the guaranteed maximum price when it was negotiated.
So we're not going to see any change in the bid simply
No.
because the county was buying the.
No, that's correct.
It was negotiated on the front side that the county would be able to, that those savings would be realized on the front side. Because again, for the county, for the contractor to pay taxes on a public project certainly was not kosher and would cause the cost to be higher than what it is. So as a result of that, it was done on the pre-bid side.
Okay, help me understand. Does this mean that the jail's now gone? We're adding the $6 million that we've spent to the contractor's price of $18 million plus the $563?
No, it's a reduction in the guaranteed maximum price, but it's still a money that's being spent. I mean, it was factored into the guaranteed maximum price when it was negotiated, but when the county makes the direct purchase, it in effect reduces the guaranteed maximum price because the county is paying the vendor directly to save the sales tax. But it doesn't change the overall cost of the project.
Okay, that's still a little cloudy for me, but I'll take your word for it.
Let me give you another perspective on the contingency, Mr. Chairman, if
Yes,
I
sir.
might. If the costs that are now being charged to the contingency had been factored in initially, if they had been identified, and that's what contingency is all about, is to pay for costs that weren't identified at the start, but let's assume that they had been identified, then that $400,000 contingency at the start of the project would not have been $400,000. It would have been considerably less. It may have been, if the costs that we had incurred, that we have been charged to contingency so far, then that contingency would have been maybe $150 at this point. So it's either, you either identify it at the outset, which would be nice if you could do it, but that's what contingency is for, to pay for costs that aren't identified at the beginning of the project. And there may be more to come.
Right. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Harvey.
Mr. Leary, the only time as Mr. Haven was referring to, the only time we could really see a cost go up is if we used all of our contingency.
Yes.
And then any amendments would make that price go up.
Yes, if all the contingency is exhausted and then there's a cost item identified that just absolutely has to be addressed or the project can't be completed, then that may very well result in an additional cost to the project. You're right.
But we're watching the store on this
Yeah,
one.
we
so-
are, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Item L, jail expansion contingency change request. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a proper motion.
Second.
Second. Further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. Thank you so much. Scott Modisette, Summit Professional Services. Item 6 is the Fair Housing Workshop for the public and locally elected officials, page 85 in your packet. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the County Commission. I'm Scott Modisette with Summit Professional Services. I'm here today to conduct a fair housing workshop on behalf of the county. As an advocate for fair housing rights, the county takes several actions to ensure that the rights of citizens are met. You include contact information on your website, and periodically we assist the county with these fair housing workshops. We do them for the public, and also we do, when you have an active community development block grant, we do an activity every quarter. Not only is this a good practice of the county, but it also ensures you some additional grant points in your grant application. Just very quickly, I'm going to go over some of the items that the Federal Fair Housing Rights Act implements, and also the county has adopted the state statute by reference in your county ordinances. In the sale of and rental of housing, no one may take any of the following actions based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, or handicap: to refuse to rent or sell housing, to refuse to negotiate for housing, to make housing unavailable, to deny a dwelling, to set different terms, conditions, or privileges for sale or rental of a dwelling, to provide different housing services or facilities, to falsely deny that housing is available for inspection, sale, or rental, for profit to persuade an owner to sell or rent, or to deny anyone access to or membership to a facility or service related to the sale or rental of housing. In mortgage lending, no one may take any of the following actions based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, or handicap: to refuse to make a mortgage loan, to provide information regarding loans, to impose different terms or conditions on a loan, such as different interest rates, points, or fees, or to discriminate in appraising property, to refuse to purchase a loan, or to set different terms or conditions for purchasing a loan. In addition, it is illegal for anyone to threaten, coerce, intimidate, or interfere with anyone exercising a fair housing right or assisting others who are exercising that right, to advertise or make any statement that indicates a limitation or preference based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, or handicap. The prohibition against discriminatory advertising applies to single-family and owner-occupied housing that is otherwise exempt from the Fair Housing Act. I'm going to leave some handouts in the county administrator's office which provide additional information on these rights, and also contact information that a citizen can use if they feel they've had their rights discriminated. As I mentioned, also the county includes some additional information on how an individual can make a complaint if they feel their housing rights have been violated. With that said, that would conclude the Fair Housing Workshop. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Just some commentary. Again, we know that the Fair Housing Act covers everything about housing, and really it boils down to each individual recognizing and realizing that all of us are important, none of us are insignificant, and that everybody ought to work hard, pray hard, get along, and make our communities better. And it's great to know that the Fair Housing Act is there. It would be sad if it had to be enforced because people just refuse to comply. But thank you for the refresher, Mr. Modisette. It's so important that we keep this ever before us. Commissioner Lible.
Hey, good morning, Scott. Thank you for being here. I was just glancing through this, read it a couple days ago, but the ADA requirements, are they the state's requirements? Are they the same as the federals?
Pretty much, yes, sir. They are all.
There are some differences?
Yes.
You said pretty much. What are they?
It's really in the wording. As far as the measurements or any type of the facilities that would be installed, those are all federally regulated, which the state statutes are similar to. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions or?
No, I have none.
Good.
Any questions from our audience on the fair housing? All right. Okay, thank you so much. We'll move to item B. Move into our second public hearing for the fiscal year 2014, federal fiscal year 2014, Community Development Block Grant CDBG Housing Rehab Category Application. Again, page 88 in your packet. This is our second public hearing.
Yes, sir. This is the second public hearing to consider whether Putnam County will pursue a housing rehabilitation category community development block grant application. The first public hearing was held on May 12th, and after some discussion on the various categories that the county could pursue, the county chose to continue pursuit of the housing rehabilitation category grant. Tonight, or this morning, I'll provide some additional information on that specific category of grant, and I've provided a resolution for the county's Commission's consideration, authorizing the chairman to sign the application and submit it to the Department of Economic Opportunity. The CDBG program has three national objectives: to benefit low and moderate income persons, to prevent or eliminate slum or blight, or to provide for resolution of any other urgent community development needs. The state community development block grant program typically directs their funding towards projects that benefit low and moderate income persons. The housing rehabilitation category specifically provides upgrades to owner-occupied homes within the county to correct health, safety, or code issues. It's not a remodeling program. It is a rehab program. During implementation, an inspector will go out and look at the home to see if there are any code correction issues that need to be done. And we're only allowed to correct the code issues. We can't just replace cabinets or anything like that at the homeowner's request. Following the last county CDBG housing rehabilitation grant, we did have additional applicants listed, and I know that you have a SHIP program that also has applicants included that we would like to be able to assist with this grant. It's a $750,000 grant. The local housing code will be the guiding work plan that we'll use when inspecting the home to determine what work would need to be done. Necessary repairs will be provided in the form of renovation of existing housing units. In some cases, if the cost of the home or the cost of the repair exceeds what a new home would cost, the program does allow the county to demolish the structure and build a new home in its place. We'll be looking at completing 11 low to moderate income housing units as part of the grant program. That's our minimum number that we'd be looking at. Of those low to moderate income homes, 4 will have to be what the state considers to be very low income. That's 50% below what the median income is for the county. And of those 4, 2 will have to be extremely low income homeowners, and that's 30% below the median county income. In addition to the housing repairs, if the renovation were so extreme that the homeowner needed to move out, or certainly in the case where the home's demolished, the program does provide some temporary relocation funds for those individuals to assist them while they've moved out of their home. That would conclude my information for the housing rehabilitation grant. These are due June 22nd. The county will be looking at also contributing $50,000 in state housing initiative partnership funds as matching funds with this grant. That program and the community development block grant program have the same requirements on the applicants, and generally the activities are the same. So those two programs mesh very well in providing assistance. If you have any questions, or if anyone from the public has any comments or questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you very kindly. We will open up a public hearing at this point. Please come forward. Mr. Tim.
Mr. Chairman, while he's on the way up, the resolution that Scott's talking about relative to the SHIP funds, that would be a commitment of over 2 years. So it would only be $25,000 per year from SHIP funds. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Leary. Please come forward.
Just a quick.
Yes, sir.
Walk to the mic.
Just a quick question. The first thing, you had all of the complaints, and people can pick a complaints. Have there been complaints?
During the last grant, we didn't have any. No, sir.
You're talking about discrimination?
Yes, sir.
Kind of complaints? Have there been any complaints against it?
Not that came to the county. If an individual were to contact HUD or the state housing.
Are you
program-
aware of any?
No, I'm not. No, sir.
When was the last one that you're aware of?
In the county? Well, the county hasn't received any. If someone were to take it to the state or the
When
federal-
was the last complaint that you were aware of?
I'm not aware of any.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you so much. This is a public hearing. Are there any other comments from the public? Please come forward.
Robert Bly, 116 Sand Lake Drive. Now, you mentioned that you would have 11 properties that would be involved in this $750,000
Yes, sir.
grant. And you also mentioned that if a property was so bad, it would have to be rebuilt. So if you have 11 properties, 750,000, you're looking at 7,500 per property. Is that right?
Well,
It's 75,000.
what we do, there's an applicant process. So once the county receives the grant, individual homeowners then have to submit an application to the county. We receive those applications and rank them based upon a score, and work from the highest ranking down in the rehab list. We do have to be careful to minimize the number of demolition rebuilds that we do. Not only are the funds limited, we are limited. It's around $58,000 on average that we can spend on a house. So what we do is we will look at the list. If our top 11 are all demolition rebuilds, we'd have to assess whether there are any rehab projects that we could do to keep that cost down. So some homes will be a demolition rebuild. Others we might go in and inspect, and all they need are new windows, or they may need the roof done. So the cost for those homes would be much less, and then we would be able to use additional funds for the rebuilds.
So if you have 5 homes that need to be completely rebuilt, the maximum that you can go on those is 56,000?
On average. So if we have rehab homes that only cost $10,000, we can use those funds for the rebuilds.
My question is, it doesn't sound like enough money to me to build a house. I don't.
It is a very small amount of money, and we have to be very careful when we're doing the bids to ensure that we meet that 11.
So are you working with any any groups or someone who kind of helps assist building that for free, like with donated time? And
no, the way the program is structured, it has to be bid out to private contractors, and then the lowest bid.
Private contractors able to build a house for 56,000.
Well, it's on average. So no, typically they're not. So we have to select some rehab homes and some demolition rebuilds.
But you're still limited to 56,000 on
No,
the
on
demolition
average.
homes?
Average.
Oh, okay. So you can go up on a certain,
Yes, sir.
and
Yes,
it's
sir.
just
We
an
could
average.
spend 110,000 on a home.
Okay.
But that means we need to find some rehab homes that have much less work that needs to be done.
Because you have 11 that you have to do.
Yes, sir.
So you have to figure out which. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That answered my question.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Continuing the public hearing, are there any other public comments? Please come forward.
Diane Williams, 109
Morning.
Westlake Drive, Hawthorne, Florida.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Are you going to bid to local Putnam County contractors, or is this for anybody to bid?
They're federal funds, so it is for anyone to bid on. There's federal money that goes to the state. State requires open competition between any contractors. Typically, that works itself out because the local contractor is not going to have the same mobilization or travel costs that someone from Orlando, let's say, is going to have. But we cannot limit who can participate in the program.
Okay, so Putnam County.
Thank you.
Faye Sparkman, 103 Flamingo Boulevard, Interlochen. I'm the only one in the SHIP program that voted no for this. I'll tell you why. That's $50,000 you're taking out of the program where we could help quite a few people. The problem I had with it is you're only going to do one area. Where are we ever going to get the proof that this is done and what the houses are going to look like when it's done? I'm proud to say I'm the only one who voted no. And I still disagree with him. Him and I get into it.
So the 50,000 investment to put us in a better position to reach this, to get the 750,000, I think is certainly a wise investment. Any other comments from the general public? This time I will close the public hearing, move to commissioners. Commissioner Harvey.
Scott, thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
coming today. Am I correct in knowing that, or understanding that our building department works very close with you?
Yes, sir.
And goes out and looks at some of these, and if it's a Band-Aid situation, they pretty much say that's not really a good fit. From what I'm hearing, they're really wanting to work and doing a good job at working with you. Is that correct?
They are, yes, sir. And the state limits our ability. We can't pick and choose. If a homeowner applicant comes in and they submit their application and they're eligible, you have a housing assistance plan that has point criteria. If they meet those criteria and score higher than the other applicants, we can't exclude them from the program, no matter what the work is that needs to be done on their home.
Right. But we're taking a look at it and going, it's not going to work, or it's a Band-Aid and it really needs this, or.
Yes, sir. And there's a certificate of occupancy. It's done like any other project that the county would undertake.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioners, we will move to our resolution on page 117, resolution number 2015-47 regarding the expenditure of state housing initiative partnership funds, SHIP funds on CDBG eligible activities as leverage for the 2014 CDBG housing rehabilitation application. What is your pleasure?
Move approval, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Have a proper motion and a second. Further discussion.
Mr. Chairman, should we put in there the 2-year period as Mr. Leary suggested earlier? Is there a way that we can write the 2 years into that? Or is it necessary?
It's not necessary. This is a two-year program anyway.
All right, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Further discussion. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item is resolution authorizing filing of application for fiscal year 2014 CDBG HR to FDEO. And this is a resolution authorizing the chief elected official to make application to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity for approval of Putnam County's Housing Rehabilitation Community Development Block Grant, providing an effective date and for other purposes. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Mr. Chairman, move approval of this resolution.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Harris.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Harvey. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Scott, thank you again for just being an expert in your area.
Yes, sir.
And for leading us through both the refreshing on the fair housing and through this process.
Yes, sir. Glad
Okay,
to
and
serve the county.
our county is made better. Our county is made much better. We're very sensitive to the individuals who do qualify because, again, it's a tough economy that we're dealing with. Our county does go through quite a bit because of our rural nature and things of that nature. But I believe that we have the tenacity to withstand those things of our past. And so thank you again for your role in partnership.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
sir.
that.
Commissioners, we're going to take a 3-minute recess and
Mr.
give.
Chairman,
I'm
before
sorry.
you leave this subject, I'm showing 3 resolutions in the packet here.
Okay.
I saw the resolution number 47 and 48. I'm just questioning if we adopted 49.
Well, actually, on your agenda, you have a second public hearing as well for another
Okay.
category
All right.
grant. Yes, sir.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
After the hearing.
Okay.
Under the break.
It would be item C under 6.
Okay, we could go ahead and take care of C before we go on break for the second public hearing. Thank you so much, Clerk. The next item does call for the CDBG Economic Development Category Application, page, again, 120 are in your packet. We can go ahead and do this one, and then we'll go on a break.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you, Commissioner, Chairman. As I mentioned, second public hearings are required for each application that the county submits. So you're looking at submitting 2 separate applications. One would be the housing rehabilitation activities. You're fortunate as well to have a local business that is interested in partnering with the county to submit an economic development category grant. As I mentioned during the last hearing, there was a first public hearing held on May 12th. In addition to your housing rehabilitation category application, the commission chose to also pursue the economic development category. And this is a job-creating category. It provides funding for local, publicly owned infrastructure to support a new or expanding business within the county. The national objective of low and moderate income benefit is met by the business. They have to commit to a certain number of jobs. And in addition, 51% of those jobs have to be made available to low and moderate income persons. There's two ways that the state looks at that. The position itself has to be a job position that could be filled by someone with nothing more than a high school diploma. And if there's any additional training that's required of the employee, the business itself pays for the training. So 51% of the jobs that are created will be made available to low and moderate income persons. During the hiring process, the business also has to document through the use of an income survey form that the individual themselves in the previous 12 years met the low and moderate income criteria. This grant specifically will provide sewer, force main, possibly a lift station on site, and we've talked with an engineer. There will be some additional upgrades to the receiving lift stations. This is a $750,000 grant. The sewer service will be provided to Veritas Steel out on Comfort Road. Because it is a city-owned sewer system, the state allows you, the business itself is located in the county. However, we'll be running city-owned sewer into the county to serve the business. So there's an interlocal agreement for your consideration as well, which outlines the commitments between the city and the county as far as ownership and maintenance of the sewer system. Veritas Steel is going to be expanding. It's going to be 4,500 linear feet of sewer lines. We're still looking at whether those will need to be 4 or 6 inch sewer lines. The state requires that we can only do the minimum necessary infrastructure for Veritas Steel's expansion, but it would allow you to have additional businesses connect to that line if the capacities were there. And I still have the engineer looking at that closely to determine whether the 4 or 6 inch line would be necessary. For a grant of $750,000, there will be 22 jobs that the business would be creating, and of those, 12 would be made available to low and moderate income persons. Recently, you've been limited to $750,000 in the past. Last year, the state changed the statute and now allows up to $1.5 million. We don't know if you're going to need that much money, but if the job creation numbers were there, they allow you $35,000 in grant funds for each job that's created. So there should be sufficient funding for any infrastructure needs. It's important to note that these are public infrastructure dollars. No money can be used for site development, private expansion. No money goes to the private business. It is a partnership between the city, between the county, and the business for the job creation. However, once it's completed, it's publicly owned infrastructure. So no money actually goes to the business itself. So that's just a point I'd like to emphasize. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing to give any of our citizens an opportunity to chime in on this. Mr. Bly.
And also, Mr. Calicott from Veritas Steel is here today as well, if you have any questions.
Certainly. It's good to see you. Yes, sir.
Just answer my question.
Okay. Thank you very kindly. Any other public comments? Please come forward, sir. Good morning, and thank you for being here.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Richard Calicott. I'm the comptroller for Veritas Steel.
Yes, sir.
And my address is 2041 County Road 209B in Green Cove Springs.
Okay.
Just like to add a comment to that. For every bridge construction or fabrication job that we bring to the plant, it adds anywhere to from $400,000 to $900,000 in wages to the citizens of Putnam County. So that's a significant chunk of change. Our problem is that the footprint of our facility doesn't allow us to continue to increase our capacity. So once we can get the sewer line in, we can actually change the footprint and then increase our capacity and bring in more work, thus more employees. So we're looking forward to partnering with the county and the city to make this happen. And we're actually committing probably on the order of $1 million of infrastructure improvements ourselves to make sure that we can bring this additional business into our facility. Just give you an example, we're getting into structural steel now as well, not just bridge fabrication. We're building the Orlando soccer stadium, or some of the major components. We have the capacity for big items because we build big bridges.
That's true.
And I think it's a great opportunity for the county and for the citizens.
We think it's a phenomenal opportunity, and we certainly are fully 100% with this partnership. We are anticipating the fruit of the labor, and please take back to the big house, to your company and your partners and all of your employees, how eager we are to see you succeed, because your succeeding means that Putnam County is succeeding, and we're all coming up there. And so thank you. This is definitely good news. Now we've got to make sure the application is as strong as it needs to be so that we can make this happen. But thank you for coming.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any other public comment? Close the public hearing at this time. Commissioners, Commissioner Lible.
Yeah, Scott, in the conversation between choice of a 6 or 8 inch sewer line, if there's any way possible, if you have any influence on that, if you've been out to the industrial park and you see it's a sleeping giant, there's a lot of properties that are being negotiated, some in the future that will need that 8 inch line, and to be just like government to go in and tear the 6 inch line up and put an 8 inch a year from now. But if you can influence that conversation, do so, because some of those other properties are going to soon to be busy.
Yes, sir. And the state, I don't agree with the system that they use. They don't do if you build it, they will come. They limit the grant dollars that they provide to the specific business. So if an engineer determines the capacities of Veritas Steel all alone by themselves require, let's say, a 4 inch line, that's all that they will pay for, no matter if you have additional businesses that are existing that want to hook in, or you have future plan development. That is the minimum amount that the state will invest. They give you the option, and what we'll discuss while we're working with the engineer is anything over that, either the city or the county can pay for an upgrade. And what we do is include a separate line item in the bid when we go out for bids. We'll put the contractor needs to bid on 4 inch line. What's your linear feet per cost? And if it were to go to 6 or 8 inch, what would it be? And then that cost is reflected. The state says, okay, well, we're going to pay for this portion. The county or the city is going to need to pay to upgrade the line, because it doesn't make sense to put in a 4 inch line when you know you're going to need a 6 or 8, but the state limits you on that. Yes, sir.
Well, if we could contribute and go from a 6 to 8 inch line at our cost, I think it'd be wise.
Okay.
Piggyback off of Commissioner Libel's comments there. We want to ensure and make sure that that option and that alternative is there, so that we're being proactive and we are anticipating the economic growth. Because again, with the current location, we know that if it's sides just for them, then we've shot ourselves in the foot to say, you know what, us for it no more, and that we're not anticipating there. But we have to be progressive and proactive to make sure that we're prepared. So thank you for clearing that up.
Yes, sir. And by including that bid alternate in there, you have a real cost that you know what you'll be paying for the additional upsize.
Yes. Okay. And how much time between getting that back and the decision on awarding, if in fact we get the grant, do we have enough time to address the financial difference, the variance?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you would have up until when the bids come in. So we'd put in the grant application based upon whatever the minimum infrastructure requirement is. You have the option all the way up until you're about to award the bid to the contractor to pick whether or not you want to pay the additional amount to increase the size. Yes, sir.
And the source of the funds, of course.
And this is a little bit different than your housing rehab grant. It's not competitive. The state, for the regular category grants, for example, your housing rehabilitation grant, that has to be into the department by 5 o'clock on June 22nd. It goes in, and they will rank it based upon your score against all of the other communities that submitted in the state for the housing rehab grant. The economic development grant is not due on June 22nd. They will begin, if they receive enough applications on June 22nd to use up all the $8.8 million that they have, they would do a ranking. In my 15, 16 years, I've never seen them get enough, because it is determined by a community having a business. So, and sometimes those businesses aren't always in line for that deadline. After June 22nd, they will continue to accept applications for the rest of the year until they've used up all their funds. So it's kind of a first come, first serve. If your application meets the minimum requirements, you have the job dedication by the business as long as there are funds in the ED, the economic development pot, it's not competitive. You would receive a grant for the
We don't want to take a chance. We want to be first in line.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what we're aiming
By
for.
all means.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments from the commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I was going to kind of mention that same thing that Commissioner Lible and you mentioned. Going to the bigger pipe would just be a wonderful asset. And thank you for providing 22 more jobs. That's really going to be a boost for Putnam County, and we appreciate that.
Okay.
So-
I didn't necessarily do it, but I'm happy to help
yeah.
Veritex out with their expansion.
But we do thank
and I'm
you.
happy to assist the county. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Item 7.1 is to approve the interlocal agreement for the sewer service on Comfort Road for this project that we've discussed, Verita Steel. Entertain a motion.
So move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a proper motion and a second to approve the interlocal agreement with the city of Palatka. Further discussion. District 1?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 3? Yes. Interlocal agreement approved. Item 2 is to adopt the resolution to authorize the filing of the application for the CDBG economic development to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. Entertain a motion for the
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the resolution.
proper
Second.
motion and a second. Further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. This time we will be on a 3-minute recess.
Thank you.
Mr. Scott, you got Brian Keith from Newcastle Marine back there. You might be able to get a check out of him.
Okay, I'll give him my card.
He's the neighbor.
Thank you again. 10:01.
We can help anytime, let us know.
If anyone see Commissioner Harvey, send him, and Commissioner Chip Lible. Can we get the Putnam County Sheriff's Office to bring Commissioner Lible whenever you find him? I'm straight, he didn't hear me.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think 3 minutes is enough time for a break. Could you at least make it 5?
You actually took 5 anyway, so I will definitely do that. District 1. Commissioners, instead of
Glad
us
you got a
going
break.
directly to 7, let's go to 8, and we'll come back to 7. Planning and Development Services, public hearing that is set for 10 a.m. We are 10:06, and I think that it would be appropriate to deal with this particular case on page 172 in your packet. This is a zoning map amendment, a request from C1 Commercial Neighborhood to C3 Commercial General, and the case number is R-15-004. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. This is Harris Burns Cable Plan Development Services. As you said, R-15-004, the applicant is Marty Philman. The applicant is requesting a zoning map amendment from C1, which is Commercial Neighborhood and Agriculture, to C3, which is Commercial General, for 3 parcels amounting in 1.67 acres of property located along State Road 20 in Palatka. The 2 parcels are currently C1, while one parcel 10-10-26-0000-0250-0000 has a split zoning designation of C1 and Ag. The future land use designation for all the properties are urban reserve. There is a single family home which has been converted into a store on the subject parcel, which has this split zoning. The other parcels are vacant currently. So at any rate, if you look at the aerial that's provided, the subject parcels are outlined in yellow, and then the purple boundary is the Palatka municipal boundary. That will be a little more clear as we go through these other maps. So the white areas are Palatka municipal zoning. This is a future land use map. So at any rate, you could see the subject parcels are urban reserve and surrounded by urban reserve as well. And then the zoning map shows a commercial corridor along State Road 20, which is predominantly C1. There is a C2 district that is down to the southeast. And then there's agriculture in the rear. So at any rate, when staff looks at rezonings, what we look for is comprehensive plan consistency. In this case, it's commercial node, so we look at the urban reserve makes us look at the commercial future land use policy for consistency. And when we go to that, there's basically 3 criteria. One is the commercial node going into a current commercial district. And as you saw, there's commercial along State Road 20 currently. The second is it going on to, does the parcel have direct access to a paved road of a collector or higher? In this case, State Road 20 is an arterial, which is higher than a collector. And then the third, does it cause vehicular traffic to pass through an established neighborhood? In this case, it does not. State Road 20 is the primary access for the subject parcels. These are the current zoning C1 and agriculture and land development code both allow urban reserve, and this is the proposed zoning, which is C3, which also has future land use urban reserve. These are all consistent land uses with the future land use category. And here is a rundown of the allowed uses in C3. We've kind of gone through this before recently, so I won't bore you with all the particulars. If you have any particular questions, I'll answer them. I wanted to go into one of the smaller pieces of the property, just kind of address this issue before it comes out. It's a small property. Staff is not particularly enamored with this aspect when we were looking at the rezoning as a whole. This property is small. The dimensions are kind of inhibit or to a degree limit the amount of development that's able to happen on it. The current dimensions are 70 by 100, so the total lot area is 7,000 square feet. But when you apply the setbacks, it gets down to 2,750 square feet of buildable area. And that's, including your, if you were going to put a building, that would be the building, parking, landscape, buffering, on and on and on. So that, that is an issue. But as a whole, the applicant proposes to rezone the subject parcels to C3. The rezoning would rid parcel 10-10-26-0000-025-0-0000 of the ag zoning designation, which would make the parcel more conducive to development. The subject parcels are located on a principal arterial, State Road 20. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code, and staff recommends approval. I'm sure you have questions.
Yes, sir. If you will elaborate more on the non-contiguous property that you mentioned is somewhat of a concern. It's a concern for me likewise, because why would you upgrade the zoning on that particular piece knowing that you are creating a situation that cannot be dealt with? I mean, at some point in time, I can relate to the 2 contiguous pieces are there, but the alienated piece of property, to me, we've got to be real about what can be done. And are we just doing something because it's in the application, or are we doing it because it makes sense?
Yeah, when staff looked at it, we looked at it as it was in the application. We looked at it as a whole, and we might need to revisit that thinking in the future.
I don't have any doubt about whether you need to revisit it. I think that the truth of the matter is that when you are pretty much telling us what the setback requirements are and how much is left, then what are we doing other than hamstringing the property owner, rather than, I think they have a better opportunity like it is than they do just to, and again, that's just my opinion.
Well, the setbacks are the same as it is, or whether it gets upgraded to C3. So the fact of the matter is, regardless of what it is, it has development restrictions because of the innate size of the subject parcel. So in reality, it's probably going to have to be adjoined to some other parcel to be developed and to be economically viable. But I understand the concern of upgrading the zoning because of that limitation. But when we looked at it as a whole, and the whole, it's
highest and best use, isn't it? Highest and best use is the goal.
Right.
Yeah, that's the goal
when it comes to
you've
real
got
estate.
the adequate square footage.
But you have to have it in C1 as well, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Good answer. We will at this time open the public hearing for citizens who have an interest in this particular case to come forward, state your name for the record, and we'll hear your comments.
The applicant is in the audience as well, if you want to speak to that.
Well, the public hearing is open for anybody who wants to come forward and speak. Good morning.
My name is Jacob Spells, 5019 Krill Avenue. My concern about this property is I tried to purchase it from Mr. Fulton before I started with the building that I put up. He wouldn't sell it to me. And I went to him in good faith. Plus the fact now it's his, he got it through a tax application, I think. But then it's his property, and I understand that, you know, I guess he feels that he can do whatever he wants with it. But my concern is, I mean, I keep the grass cut on it, I mow it, because it's directly in front of my property. I own both sides and in the rear. And due to the regulations and the zoning and the setbacks, there isn't enough property there to put a building or anything unless he feels that he can do whatever he wants. But my main concern is, what are you all going to allow him to put on this property with the limited square footage that he has?
That's your question?
To you.
That's a valid question. What can be put on the property, knowing what the setbacks are and things of that nature?
Well, it depends what the proposal is. I mean,
just give a couple of examples of what could possibly be.
I mean, retail sales general, it could be a small store of some type that sells antiques or knickknacks. It could be a small restaurant. Now, but again, you know, the feasibility of what is going to be allowed on that property due to the development restrictions caused by the setbacks, you know, it's kind of hard for me to say, well, you could do this, you could do that. There are the allowed uses, and if you're able to satisfy the land development code's requirement for development within the space that they have, then they're able to do it. If they can't, they cannot.
And it'll just be a vacant piece of property?
Correct.
Now, if you put up any structure at all, you are required.
Come around to the mic,
You
Mr.
are
Speaker.
required to have water and sewer.
Correct.
How is he gonna get sewer? How is he separate? There's not enough room to build a septic tank for a drain field. How is he gonna get water there? Because that would be close to his septic tank.
I think our planner is addressing that from the perspective of it's going to be his challenge there. It's not going to be something that he think of and dream of and just do it. He's got to comply with the land development codes for whatever his future plans are. We can't get into that with this particular hearing that we're in. I think your concerns are very valid concerns, and they ought to be the concerns of the property owner, because if the person is limited as to what they can do, then to me it would make sense to have the conversation again with a property owner that has contiguous property there. So planning pretty much is saying that there is no waiver with the rezoning. There is no waiver for setbacks. There is no waiver for the development codes, whether, again, we're talking water, sewer, parking, any retention of water, all of those things. Nothing is being waived as a result of the rezoning there. And maybe after it's rezoned, you may get a surprise visit, and who knows?
But if it's rezoned, then it's left up to you to determine what he can put or what he cannot put there.
Well, that rule applies even right now as far as it relates to what he can do and what he can't do, and nothing is being waived as a result of the rezoning.
Well, that's my question to you.
Okay.
What are you going to allow him to do?
That's going to be regulated not by the commission, but by the existing regulations that we have, and you can jump in at any time, just as you said, the land development code, the building code, I mean, everything that is there now, he would certainly have to come in, make application for, and bring the proper plans, and those proper plans will have to meet the standard.
You
So,
know, I mean, I'm only concerned and relevant about what can be put there, because I don't want something there that's gonna make my property look bad.
it will be properly, it'll go through the proper procedures, when and if, the property owner, makes application, for building, or anything that we put on, so it's gonna go through the proper procedures.
And like I said, it's his, you know, priority
sir.
to do what he want with it. But
Correct.
what advantage is there to change the zoning if all these restrictions are on the property right now?
Well, again, the applicant is here, and the applicant may feel like since he owns it all, he wants to do it in one swipe, because again, you gotta pay a separate application fee, and you've gotta, you know, you've gotta do those things. And so if that is his thought process, then it does make sense to go ahead and rezone all of what you own, you know, at one time, there. But it's not going to be, what you would call a overnight situation come up, and then, you know, you find out that something is there. I believe both of you all are business people, and that you all can talk about the future plans and be good neighbors. I would certainly want to be good neighbors, and I believe that Mr. Fillmore will operate in good faith with you, knowing what your concerns are.
But it's left in your hands, and whether you determine whether you're gonna change the zoning or not, right?
The zoning change is not going to change the setback requirements, so the restrictions that you are concerned with, they're covered even under existing zoning.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean the zoning, but what do you want?
Do you mean the development of the property?
What is this trying to change from C1 to C3?
Right. Which is the zoning.
It's left up to you all to determine whether he changed from C1 to C3, right?
That is correct. But it doesn't change the position that you have.
Yes, I understand
And
that.
the leverage that is, the restrictions on that property will still be there.
Right, so now, are you all gonna change from C1 to C3, or are you not, or are you gonna leave it like it is? Or-
That, we having a public hearing right now, and the commissioner's gonna go into deliberations in just a moment, and we all gonna know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so
Mr.
much.
Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Spells, do you want a copy of what is allowed in C3? I have a list here if you want it. Okay.
Just one comment,
Yes,
Brian
sir.
Hammonds, Planning and Development Services Director. Given the small size and given the separation between these two properties, we would, if he, under highway oriented, put in a car lot or something like that, we would not allow him to display cars over there without the principal use of a building. We would not let him use those together. So again, you are correct. It is a very small piece of property by itself. I think we calculated about 2,300 square foot building envelope. And yes, that would have to accommodate parking, stormwater, building, everything on that
Yes, sir.
square footage.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Any other public comments? I do hereby close the public hearing, commissioners. Have there been any ex parte communications? District 1?
No.
District 2?
No.
District 3? No. District 4?
No.
District 5?
No.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Harris.
Mr. Chairman, I think that it isn't good to have a parcel with two different zonings on it, that we need to go ahead and make it the same. I think something could be worked out on this small piece. It would just take sitting down and working with planning and zoning. An office is allowed there, could be like a small 1,000 square foot office. Parking spaces are about 200 square feet each. So if it's something, you know, small in the area, and if he can get the water and sewer, something probably could be worked out. But I think it's good to have the zoning the same. The Planning Commission recommends it. The Planning Department recommended it. I'm in favor of approving that.
Okay, thank you very kindly. Any other commissioner comments? Again, for the sake of consistency, and my prayer certainly that the property owners can sit down again and talk about the future of all of the property in that area. there so that there can be resolution and a win-win situation for all concerned. Commissioners, at this particular point in time, we need a decision on the case R-15-004.
So move
Chairman?
approval.
Oh,
Have a proper motion?
then I'll have a second.
We have a proper second. Further discussion? Had time to consider. District 1?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 3? Yes. Motion carries. Thank you very kindly. Commissioners, we will move to item 7, code enforcement, fine reduction requests. First case is case number 2009-00890, Magnolia Dunes, page 158 in your packet.
Good morning. This case is 2009-00890. It's located at 400 County Road 310 in Palatka, Magnolia Dunes, also known as Hogwaller. Code enforcement was given the case because certain building code issues had not been resolved. A notice of violation hearing was sent to the property owner September 19, 2009. The special magistrate heard the case October 2019 of 2009 and found the property was in violation and ordered the owner to bring the property into compliance by January 1st, 2010, or the fine of $25 a day would begin along with the $100 administration fee. Permit was not obtained by January 2nd, so an affidavit of noncompliance was sent out. Nothing happened and a lien was recorded against the property April 7, 2011. A notice of hearing was sent for the foreclosure and abatement of the property December 16, 2011. Mr. Alford has come into the office, discussed the case with Mr. Hammonds, and asked for an additional 6 months, and it was given and granted to him. On January 19, 2012, the special magistrate gave him until May 19, 2012, to bring the property into compliance. All the open permits were finalized February 5th, 2013, and that's when Mr. Alford indicated that he added some additional property to the PUD, and it needed to be processed. The property finally came into compliance, and all fines stopped January 15, 2015. The fine reduction request went before the special magistrate May 21st of this year, and he recommended that the county accept $1,625 in lieu of the $46,025 fine and the administration fee to be paid within 90 days of the BOCC action, and that date would be September 7th of this year.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. Director.
And I do need to make a couple of comments about this in favor of the applicant. Some of you will remember the problem we had back in '08 was mud bogging. And this was kind of initiated by Commissioner Taylor as a private solution to a very public problem. We had lots of complaints in those days about mud bogging. In fact, we actually passed an ordinance dealing with mud bogging because there was so much of it going on. And I can truthfully say I haven't had a single complaint about mud bogging since this thing was opened. Number two, we have worked with, and he has worked with us, Mr. Alford, to do away with the old Kenilworth subdivision, literally 1 square mile of antiquated subdivision. He owned half of it, has vacated that out as part of his PUD, then went further in the last year or two, purchased the other half, and again, some of you will remember that we had actually vested half of that subdivision when it was under the ownership of Mr. Odom to a certain density. And again, all of that has been wiped out, and most of the lots are already wiped out. There are very few that are still to be wiped out. Okay, but all total, we've lost, or we've done away with, approximately between 6,000 and 6,500 antiquated lots.
Wow.
And again, he has worked with us to do that and vacated all those things out. So again, he has been working with us. It has been a long problem. He started in '08 from scratch with this piece of property, worked with water management, worked with us, Again, we did have some slow points where he'd slow down, and as all of you know, code enforcement, we poke people and get them moving again. Well, our liens are our leverage, and that's how we get people moving again. So that's how we got here, for what it's worth.
Okay. Is the property owner in agreement? Are they contesting at all on this? As far as you know, they're in agreement with this?
I haven't heard any contest.
Okay. All right. Anybody from the public here to speak concerning case number 2009-00890? Commissioners, we have a recommended action to concur with the recommendation of the special magistrate and accept the $1,625 in lieu of the $46,025 fine and administrative fee if it's paid by September the 7th, 2015. Discussion and...
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Before we do a motion on it, I think that under the circumstances, I was here in 2008, and he did really help us solve a huge problem. They were going... Everybody that liked to mud bog was going into any wetland anywhere and just disturbing the countryside. Some lakes that had been reduced, people were using that for mud bogging. It was a terrible problem. And the citizens stepped forward to do this. And the antiquated subdivisions have been a huge problem for a long time. You can imagine if we had 6,000 or 6,500 mobile homes moving into those areas where there were no improvements for roads. And I think he's done us a huge favor. I think that it could be reduced to zero, and we would not be any the worse. If we had tried to solve it ourselves, it probably would have cost us more than that. So I just want to make that comment, and I'm willing to do a motion, but I'd like to hear what the rest of you have to say.
I have a comment.
Commissioner Pelissier and Commissioner Lott.
I was about to make the motion, but I agree with you, Commissioner Harris, 100%. Fully support this.
Commissioner Lible.
Just to add on to the historical perspective she was giving you, this problem was huge. They were squatting on private properties. We were getting letters from way up north from property owners complaining about this mud bogging situation. And I'm not sure how, I think we as a county pushed the offers really hard to help us solve this problem. We were truly partners in this deal, and he stepped up. I'm not sure how these fines were acquired. You know, I've read through the packet, and I don't think they're fair either. And he has absolutely that whole parcel starting from Highway 19 all the way to 315. You know, what they're responsible for, they have made it easy for us as a county and for the taxpayers. They've saved just thousands upon thousands of dollars for us. And I don't support this either. I agree. We should work with them like they have worked with us. And that's all.
Commissioner Harvey.
No, I agree with everything that's been said. I think Mr. Offer's been a fine citizen and solved a huge problem. And I wasn't on the board, but I can tell you, I've seen those lakes that they tore up, and those lake beds, and it was a disaster throughout Putnam County. But it's not that way anymore, and we owe him a true thank you for doing that.
Well, let's make sure we keep everything in its proper perspective. We know who the property owner is. We know the history that's being mentioned. But let's deal with the highlights of the case, and let's make sure that we are not setting a precedent as it relates to how we either have an alternative recommended action here on the case, because at some point in time, we don't want any of our citizens to come back and say that even though we know the historical significance there, we understand that a different issue was resolved. But let's deal with this specific issue and make sure that we're not setting a precedent. So I'm going to call the director back up just to put him on the spot to make sure that when it's all said and done, we go through actually what didn't happen that should have happened and how much staff time do we have in this situation as indicated here. And so before we just decide we're going to do it because we know the history and those who are here know the history, let's make sure that we're not setting us a precedent again that's going to come back and create some other issues for us later, Mr. Director.
Specifically, he's, since his original PUD, I think he's modified it twice at our requirement. As he did have a few cases where he had certain building issues that took him longer than we anticipated. And I think the reasons that we ultimately got to lean were delay in fixing his PUD, the rezoning that's required there, and delay in finalizing certain building permits, again, certain health department approvals that he didn't have, and certain water management permit issues that he didn't have. A lot of moving parts to this thing. Yeah. And again, that whole square mile of the Kenilworth subdivision is now part of his PUD, as well as other property he owned around there prior to that.
I do think that consideration ought to be given to the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say, but I think that we certainly would be setting a precedent to just say we go from the original fine. I think we have a recommendation that has been vetted through the hearing officer, through the magistrate. Staff has reviewed it. We do have some cost that's incurred there, and I think that if we are taking other information into consideration there, that it's going to be some other people that's going to want some information that's beyond what we have here in consideration for the final decision to be made. I am certainly empathetic to what I'm hearing my colleagues say, but I'm also cautious of what we do, why we do it, and how we do it.
Let me just say that the costs you have before you are strictly code enforcement costs. Any building permitting costs would have been paid in the building permitting process. Planning and zoning, that's been taken care of as they came in.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask him a question?
Question.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes, sir.
Weren't there a lot of fees involved in the vacation of the subdivision plat that was waived by the county?
Yes, sir.
Got any idea how many, what that fee was?
Two plat vacations, two separate ones. That would have been about $400 per, and two PUD rezonings at about $750 per. Yes.
So he's already been blessed, in other words. So let's just be mindful of, again, this is a cold case. And the other case of all of the blessings of accommodating the public need and things of that nature, I think that's where the county accommodated the property owner. So I just want us to be mindful of the whole thing. Commissioner, District 1.
Thank you. If another person did the same thing that this citizen did and jumped through all the hoops and put this together, I would feel the same way in dismissing their fees as I do this one. It's a precedent that I would be proud to uphold. And I think that when he did this, we've never had a mud bogging situation before. We had to go through all kinds of hoops. We didn't know he'd have to go through water management, rezoning issues. We all were learning from this. And our county has taken on areas when we wanted to get rid of an antiquated subdivision. We have borne the fee and made it a request of the planning department to get rid of unwanted things before. So we would have done that anyway. So I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we reduce the fee to 0.
Second.
We have a proper motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. District 1?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 3? No. Motion carries. The next case coming before us is fine reduction request, case 2011-00984, David Murphy, page 164 in your packet.
This property is located on 140 Hudson Trail in Interlochen. David Murphy is the property owner. The property was first seen December 15, 2011. The notice of violation went out December 16th. Nothing changed on the property, and the case went before the special magistrate April 19, 2012. He gave the owner until June 1st, 2012, and a fine of $25 a day began, along with the $100 administration fee. Mr. Murphy indicated that he didn't have any money to comply and that the mobile home continued to deteriorate over time. On July 19, 2012, the special magistrate ordered the lien to be recorded. Staff took the case back before the special magistrate January 16, 2014, and requested to abate and foreclose the property. The special magistrate ordered the county to foreclose and abate the property. And then September 19, 2014, it went before the Board of County Commissioners to authorize abatement. The county abated the property February 2nd, 2015. A fine reduction hearing was set up on May 21st, 2015, and the special magistrate heard the fine reduction on the 21st and recommended the county accept $5,064 in lieu of the $24,215 if paid within 90 days, which would be September 7th. The $5,064 includes the $3,150, which is the abatement cost that the county paid to have the property back into compliance, which is now a vacant lot. And then the daily fines were reduced to $1,914, which is what equals the $5,064.
Thank you very kindly. Mr. Murphy, if you want to come forward. Thank you for being here. Obviously, the violation was an unpermitted abandoned mobile home and care of premises. You have some things you want to share with the board. Pull that mic up closer to you.
It started 5 years ago. Two Puerto Rican boys came in, and I had a rental property over there. They gutted all the wire and stole air conditioning, and I put them in jail. And my neighbors called codes enforcement, and I came here before you, and I cleaned up the mess that they created, and y'all fined me $500. I went back and let them out of jail after 6 months' time served to give them a break. One boy went to North Carolina with felony charges. The other boy came back and finished tearing the house apart and scattering. The neighbors called codes again. I came before you again 5 years ago, and y'all fined me $500 for what they did to me. I cleaned the property up. I brought a double-wide mobile home over there to try to improve the property. I had, at the time, that's when the mandatory upgrade on septic tanks came in. It was an additional $3,500 I wasn't expecting, that I didn't have, and I was trying to get a waiver and a variance on that. During that time, I passed out on a job site. I was a small contractor. I passed out on a job site. They took me to Shands on Friday night, admitted me, thought I had stroked. By Sunday night, I was Stevie Wonder, blind. By Wednesday, I was triplegic. I've spent the last 2 years, I spent the next 2 years in and out of the hospital in wheelchairs, on chemotherapy. All of this with codes enforcement has been done in absentia. I have been just too sick to even deal with it. I hobbled in here to codes magistrate 2 years ago on crutches, and I told the magistrate then that I was sick. I'd been diagnosed with a catastrophic disease. I could not deal with the property. I would sign it over to the county. I would do whatever I could, and I couldn't deal with it. I was dealing with my life. Here we are, 4 years later. They've abated the property. It was a viable mobile home that needed about $1,500 worth of work to put it back on the tax roll at about $28,000 in value. I've lost that. They've destroyed that. All I have left is 4 sand lots that are unsellable. I couldn't even give them away with the mobile home on there. Nola contendere. This is a burden on me. I am on total disability. I went from $700 a day average of gross receipts, and I'm doing $700 plus a month on total disability. I get $54 in food stamps. I've got a free phone. I'm an indigent ward of the state now.
Yes, sir.
This is a serious burden. I ask that reduce it as much as you can. Set it up where I can make payments. I can make payments of $30, $40, $50 a month. I cannot pay it off in 30 and 90 days. I can't have this afforded. It's applied to all of my properties. I can't have that.
Mr.
Got to give me some reasonable way to reduce my debt.
Yes, sir. Mr. Murphy, when you came to the county and you made the statement to the county, get this burden off of me, what did you mean by that statement when you were saying?
I told them I would sign the property over to Palatka Housing Authority or HUD or to Habitat, or just, I couldn't deal with it. I was dealing with my life.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
as far as I understand now, I'm one of 19 people that are at Shands with this catastrophic disease, which is Davich syndrome, which mimics MS, which is transverse myelitis, where the insulation on my nerves is being attacked by my own immune system.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
one of 19 people, and they're studying me because I'm the only one up. Everybody else is blind and quadriplegics.
Yes, sir.
And I'm still on chemo now.
Yes, sir. And you certainly do not need this
I
added
don't need
stress.
this burden, sir. But
Counsel.
I don't contest it.
Yes, sir.
It's there, and the property went abated, and I just couldn't deal with it. But if you could set it up to where I can make some payments on this and reduce my debt, I'll do what I have to do. I have complied with this county. I've done a lot in this county as a small contractor. I have helped a lot of people in this county. I've put a lot of roofs on. I've fixed a lot of homes in this county.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Murphy. Counsel, is there a way for us to allow the planning department and yourself to look at if his offer is still on the table? Because to me, with his health issues, if he's going to have the burden, $34 a month is not going to help him. He still has a burden that is not going to disappear, and if it's going to cause his health to decline further, then I don't know what the value of the property is and what all can be done there, but I don't see the recommended action as being an option for him. I would rather, instead of the commissioners, unless, I mean, again, everybody can speak, deliberating on what we should do, I would rather the department and yourself maybe see what really will work for him in a case like this. I don't know.
But you're not suggesting a payment plan?
A payment plan is, based on his testimony, he's got issues that is far bigger than this, and I think that his payment plan is not going to remove the burden of him. All of your properties are encumbered. You're saying you have other properties beyond this, correct?
The place I'm living here in the city, and this is the only other property I have left now. Everything is gone.
So what is the value of that property? Do we know?
The interlocking property now is about $7,000 or $8,000 total. With sand lots is all it is now. And with the mobile home on it, it would have been worth about $28,000. But and it would have.
It was an unpermitted mobile home.
Come back to
It was a permitted home until I passed out. It was permitted until I passed out on a job site and was admitted with a catastrophic disease.
Yes, sir. Do you
Permit
have?
ran out while I was flat on my back, blind and paralyzed in Shands Hospital.
Yes, sir. You made that crystal clear to us. I'm just trying to figure out how we can come to a win-win situation, because even if the commission agrees that you would be paying X amount of dollars per month, it's not going to make your property value go up, and then you're going to still have more invested into property that you're not going to ever have equity in based on that plan. So I would rather something be worked out and a new recommendation brought to us that's going to relieve you of some of the psychological added stress to your sickness and all, but again, that's my opinion.
Sir,
Let me, Mr. Murphy, let me hear from my colleagues, and then we'll see which way we need to go with this. Any other comments or concerns?
I'm in agreement with you.
I'm wanting to give leniency as much as we can. We could strike the daily fines, the 1,914, and reduce it that much. And then the real hard amount that we're out is the 3,150 that we tore down the building with, I assume. And we could take payments of, if he says he can afford $30 a month, however long it takes. Just throw that in for conversation.
Okay. Commissioner Pelletier?
Mr. Murphy, is it your desire to retain ownership of this property?
I don't want, the interlocking, my main concern here is this, and the way the lien states is this. I've tried to give the property away in interlocking. I can't even give it away, okay?
Well, see, again, I'm hearing what you're saying, Mr. Murphy, and I don't want to stress you out no more in this meeting than what you are already. But if you're trying to give the property away and you're not going to feel like the county took the property from you, I'm thinking that if you meet with the director, meet with our attorney, you all can hammer through some things. And if we table this issue to next month, if you agree with what you all work out, then it'll be resolved.
My main concern is this, is the lien reads this way.
Yes, sir.
That the $3,150 for the abatement of interlocking property,
Yes, sir.
it will be adjoined to my property where I am now.
Yes, sir, I do understand.
And if I don't pay this in 90 days,
Yes, sir.
are y'all gonna put me in the street?
No, sir. You will not be put in the street by Putnam County.
Because that is y'all are the only entity that can break homestead exemption and put me in the street.
But
to
we're not,
pay
that's
your
not the aim of this
fine.
commission at all, Mr. Murphy. Give me
That's
just
my
another
main
minute.
concern.
Give me just another minute, and I hear your concern. Mr. Harvey?
Mr. Murphy, we can't do that with homestead property, so you don't need to worry about that. Mr. Counselor, I have a question for you. Is there any way that we could just tie this property up, put the lien just on this property, and then he signs it over to us and we put it on surplus land and sell it out?
Yes.
Okay, why don't we just, that's something, Mr. Chairman, that you just said, y'all work that
And
out.
that's what I tried to do
Okay,
4 years ago.
okay.
Okay.
And it just kept on, and nobody from codes listens to you.
Well, they're listening. They're listening.
We're
sir.
all listening. Okay, if we did that and then we took the property in lieu of the fine, and then we declared it surplus and we sold it, would we be able to give him back the change? Say it sold for $5,000. Could we give him back the difference of what it sells for above what the fine is?
Wow.
I will donate any profits on this property to Habitat of Humanity.
All right, you're just ready to
He's
be
wanting
rid
the
of
lien
it.
to disappear, and he want this to
end.
get over his
I've
head.
got my life to deal with. I could go backwards at any time and be in a wheelchair again.
Okay, let's hear from our director. Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Yes, sir.
Yes, Commissioners. I just want it made clear that this would be a one-time thing by the board. Again, our liens by statute are general liens against any and all real property that somebody has. Now, the board, of course, has the ability to do whatever you want to with your lien. It is in your favor.
I am interested in what Mr. Murphy has suggested to us. Nothing outside of that. That's all I'm interested in. And he wants this lien and burden to disappear, period. He wants his name disassociated. That's why I suggested the director, the department, and the attorney.
Our department does not take property. That'll be a function of Russ.
I understand that, but I'm saying I want you guys to negotiate and bring us back a recommended action there, and this can be resolved. I really see where this can be resolved. I don't see it resolved if he's making payments every month. There's a lien that still exists, and his burden is nothing changes other than he's stressed out over a situation that we can resolve. I believe we can get a win-win situation out of this, but I want to hear back from council.
Yeah, but I mean, the other way to do it, I mean, he makes monthly payments, and the lien stays in place. The lien is not foreclosable against his homestead property, so it only technically applies to the property we're dealing with. And he already suggested that he could make monthly payments.
But he also suggested that he wanted to get rid of the property and get rid of the lien. That's what I'm hearing him say.
I imagine there's a lot of people out there like that. I mean, we get offers to have property donated to us quite often that we refuse.
Okay.
But I think in this case, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
He's got a medical hardship that really is affecting his stress, and I think anything we can do to help relieve that would be good.
Well, I think he's relieved by knowing that the lien is not foreclosable against his homestead. He was, you thought that we could foreclose a lien against your homestead property, is that correct? But now you know that we cannot and will not.
Is there a reason for us not to, the land, not that we want it, but is there any problem with that at all?
Can we change the language and
I'm just asking.
Yes.
does not reflect against that property, that it reflects only against that property?
If there were contamination of any kind on the property, the county would be responsible.
That's exactly why I just suggested that the planning department bring us back a new recommendation with the blessings of council, and then we can make it happen. All of the little things we're talking about up here will be vetted in that meeting, because we got the expert in planning and codes, and we've got legal, and they can bring us back a real.
Let me just say that normally the way this would happen, instead of him deeding it to the county where it comes completely off the tax rolls, it would normally wait and just go through the tax deed process for non-payment of taxes, and then it would get recycled into private ownership rather than coming to the county.
Sounds like a plan to me, but I want to get this stress off of this gentleman if we
Okay.
can. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, we could get the stress off if we just forgave the lien and wiped it off and just said we reduce it to zero.
Yeah, we could.
I don't think we have that many people that come before us that have this kind of a problem. I'd like the man to have some peace in his life. It's not that much money. I just would be willing to do that. And why should he wait another month, waiting and worrying? I make a motion that we reduce the fine to zero.
Second.
Is a question.
Discussion.
Discussion. Is the violation resolved? Is the derelict mobile home gone?
Yes, because we abated it, yes.
Done, okay, that's all I want to know.
So how does the county get their money back from the abatement?
I want to help Mr. Murphy as much as I can due to his medical situation, but the county cannot incur a total loss of the cost of the abatement. I just can't support that. I do concur with your health
Haven't
issues.
the abatement costs been paid?
No.
No.
That's why the total is 5,000, because the abatement is. The $3,150 abatement cost plus $1,914 daily fines is the recommended action, the $5,064. So my understanding is that the entire amount is what's payable within 90 days, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir, Mr. Director, you were getting ready to say something?
I'm just confirming yes.
Okay, so the abatement is not.
I was at the next case already, excuse me.
Okay, we apologize. If you go back to the case before the.
I'm back.
All right, sir. So.
Neverland?
I mean, I hear the gentleman say he can pay $30 or $40 a month. We can certainly release the lien as it applies to anything else but this particular piece of property, and that seems to give him comfort.
I'm not in his shoes, but I know
Why don't we let him answer that question? Does that give you comfort?
He already told us, counsel.
I thought I heard him say that.
He already answered that question.
His answer was, as long as we put it in writing that it only applied to this property, he was okay with it.
I don't need additional payments, but I mean, if I have to, I can make the payments. But it's $700 a month. I've got insurance on my truck, I've got electric, I've got water.
He doesn't need 50 cents added to his bill right now.
Well, he said he could afford $30 or $40, $50 a month. I'm just echoing what he said.
$20 worth of gasoline.
Damn what you do.
Right.
And again, from a practical matter,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Murphy. Let me hear from our director, please.
From a practical standpoint, if you release the lien on his homestead, and then whether he pays or not toward the lien, once the thing goes to tax deed sale, our lien will travel through the tax deed sale to
Okay.
whoever buys it. Our lien does not go away.
Can you bring that to recommended action to us? I mean, I know we have a motion and a second on the floor. We need to take action on.
That's just normal procedure, and many times we just wait, sit on our hands in code enforcement until something goes to a tax deed sale. We get notice of it, and we watch the sales for any overage.
And it's basically going to follow that process, and then the county, whoever would purchase the deed, will be paid.
Yes,
That-
if he is not paying the
Correct.
property taxes every year, then it will go
Everyone.
through that
I'm
process.
sorry.
Are the taxes delinquent now?
About 7 years,
Huh?
about 6 years, I think.
Yeah, delinquent, 6 years.
Okay.
The structure of the taxes need to be readjusted because they were way too high in the beginning. We dropped them way down because the property was in sad repair, but the appraisals on it were way too high.
Okay, we'll get with Mr. Parker.
Adjust the taxes is to put the property in a tax deed sale at a better leverage
Okay, so,
for y'all to recover your money.
okay, thank you so much, Mr. Murphy. Just trying to get the burden off of you, and maybe the potential buyer out there will help resolve the issue, but we want to get the initial burden off of you. We have a proper motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion on the motion that's on the floor? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
Aye. Motion carries.
If it gives a fine, I don't.
We had 3, 4. What was
And
the-
that was the motion to make it 0, is that correct?
Get 0. Mr. Murphy, you're not going to have a fine. Just go home and take care of yourself, and God bless you.
That's right.
Okay, the next case, 2012 00626, 125 Cordell, Interlochen, Antonio and Carol Root.
This is 125 Cordell Avenue in Interlochen. The property was first seen September 28, 2012. A notice of violation was given along with the notice of unsafe structure October 5, 2012. A permit was issued November 19, 2012. The owner received an additional $180 or 180-day extension on the permit, which gave him until May 6, 2013. A notice hearing was sent out, and then the case went before the special magistrate September 30th, 2013 to bring the property into compliance, or a fine of $25 a day would begin and the $100 administration fee. This whole time, Mr. and Mrs. Ruth were in contact with me. They just kept going back and forth on whether or not they wanted to repair it or demolish it. Their issue was money, of course, and they just didn't have the funds and wasn't sure how they wanted to make the repairs that were necessary. It was a tree that went through, and then, of course, once it was open to the elements, it just made the situation worse, and people were getting in and taking stuff from out of it. The case went back before the special magistrate November 21st, 2013, and found the property was still in violation and ordered the fine and the lien to be recorded. May 15th, the special magistrate ordered the property to be foreclosed upon and abated. Since no progress was made for a while, September 9, 2014, the case went before the Board of County Commissioners and got authorization for abatement. It was demolished through an abatement process January 12, 2015, and now it is a vacant lot. It did go before the Board of County, or it did go before the special magistrate for a fine reduction. The total fines and fees totaled up to $11,700, and it was reduced. We agreed to reduce it to $2,146. He did pay the abatement fine as soon as we got the property cleared off, so we're just asking for the daily fines.
Okay, commissioners, is there anyone here representing the Ruth? You said earlier that money was an issue, cost was an issue, and in this particular case, the abatement amount has been paid in full, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do I need to pass the gavel to the vice chair to say reduce this to zero? Just asking.
And the abatement cost was $3,185, and
So
they
they
did pay
paid
that.
that, the lot is clean, and
The lot is clean.
everybody's happy.
Yeah, we just have the daily fines that are still due.
What's the pleasure of the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve staff recommendations on this case 2012-00626.
Second.
Proper motion and second. Discussion. What makes this case different? The fact that they're not here, but she mentioned earlier that they had a money issue, and they struggled and paid the abatement costs, and now they've got the fine for the cost that's involved. Let's discuss it. Let's have some open dialogue. Help me understand. Everybody's got a money issue in Putnam County, all of us, at some point in time. Help me understand, because I don't get it. Because the previous case that has already been resolved would have been handled not by the gentleman, but it would have been handled by the person who is ultimately getting ready to purchase that property on a tax deed anyway. So Putnam County would have at least got the abatement cost back. We got the abatement on this case,
Yes, sir.
and now we're gonna go ahead and charge them the fine, and they got a beautiful lot out there. So again, I just want you to help me out a little bit, please.
Where's this person? They're not represented. I don't know the facts.
Well, the facts is presented right here by.
What I have is right here.
Okay.
You know, the last gentleman, you want a difference, he came with a different set of facts. He
Yeah.
really did. It wasn't articulated in our packet.
And I think every case,
Side of it, and I supported it. No
every case stands alone, and I have no problems with that.
Mr. Chairman, we have a motion and a second. I call the question.
Question been called. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very kindly. Okay, Mr. Rick Leary,
Okay, we have one appointment pending, sir.
District 4, do you have an appointment for the
I
library?
do,
board?
finally, sir, thank you. Bill Metz is willing to serve on the library
Is
board.
that a motion, sir?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve Bill Metz
Your
to serve on
second.
the library board.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor of Bill Metz being appointed District 4 appointee for the library board signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Mr. Leary.
Mr. Chairman, I have one item that I'd like to bring up, if I may, that is not on the agenda. It's a letter that I have distributed to each of you from, that was presented to us on behalf of Ride Solutions. Can potentially be a complex issue, and I'll try to simplify them, and maybe Mr. Castleberry can bail me out on it. But a few years ago, the county received a couple of grants from the Federal Transit Administration that allowed Ride Solutions to construct some buses, some low-floor vehicles that were resulted, I think, in the construction of the Brevi bus. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that. Associated with that was the plans for the construction of that bus. What Ride Solutions is asking the county to do, since the county was the grantee on those funds, Ride Solutions is asking for us to file a formal request to the Federal Transit Administration for the subject data, or to simplify the term subject data, I think that's the plans for the construction of the bus, for that to be transferred to Putnam County's ownership, so that at some point the county being once the county becomes the sole recipient of that subject data, we might ultimately be positioned to move forward with trying to secure someone to manufacture that bus hopefully here in Putnam County. But the first step in order to accomplish that is to secure the plans for doing that. So the request is for, step one is to request that Federal Transit Administration actually formally grant ownership of those plans to Putnam County. Kind of a simplified manner of
Discussion, District 1?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we've been keeping up with this for a long time, and the purpose of this request is that Putnam County gets those papers so that we can manufacture the buses in Putnam County and we can have jobs. It's a real opportunity for progress, and we all know that we need jobs. We are entitled to get that paperwork, but there are others that are also entitled in part of the paperwork. So we need to get our request in as soon as possible so that we could be the sole recipient of those rights, and then go forward from there with the manufacturing of the buses in Putnam County. There are others interested in this paperwork who would like to take it, especially other entities that already build buses, and they're in other states. And so we need to move forward as swiftly as possible to get the letter out and do what we can to save those jobs. It should be our baby, and it needs to stay here.
I agree.
Well said, Commissioner Harris, and we want to thank you for your due diligence and staying on top of this, because this transportation issue is a major issue for us, and this project is also likewise. Any further discussion on the recommendation to proceed with this letter? Entertain
Mr.
a
Chairman,
motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this request.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Like sign. Hearing none. Motion carries. Thank you again, Mr. Leary and Commissioner Harris. What else, Mr. Leary?
Nothing else. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Castleberry?
Yes, sir. On the Palaca Housing Authority.
We want good news only.
Yeah, there's only a report.
All right.
I've drafted a request for an Attorney General's opinion that I've given to the Florida Association of County Attorneys General Counsel's Office for review. I also have to draft a memorandum of law to accompany that, so we will be filing that soon. The county filed a public records request for the Housing Authority to try to obtain certain documents. They also filed one with the county to get certain documents of ours, which is no big deal. I'm just bringing the board up to date. And I guess the only other thing that's happened is the county received a letter from the Housing Authority's outside counsel in Tampa suggesting that the county's interpretation of the statute was frivolous. And that severely hurt my feelings, but I've recovered. So we are proceeding with that. I'll get comments on our request for the opinion from Ginger Delegall's office, and then I have to prepare a memorandum of law. But the Housing Authority, as an interested party, will also be able to submit any information or memorandum of law that they wish to submit in conjunction with the request for the Attorney General's opinion.
Looking through the telescope, Council, again, not trying to be a pessimist nor an optimist here, but just a reality check. What do you see us doing following this? I mean, the opinion is certainly an option that the county is seeking for. It's not binding as it relates to that. Even mediation is not binding, but certainly this cannot, our next year's budget, it's a whole lot of things is hinging on us making some progress and some progressive steps. We're certainly not trying to create an antagonistic relationship with any of the other government entities, but at the same time, we have a reality that must be dealt with, and there is certainly a difference of opinion as far as the day is from the night with the two groups here. What do we need to do so that we're not in quicksand, bogged down, and just spending time?
Well, I think one of the things in their letter, they were kind enough to point out that Attorney General's opinions were not binding. They were merely persuasive authority, which I already knew. My guess from that comment is that if the Attorney General rules in their favor, they'll be waving it in my face, and if they rule in our favor, they'll be saying, well, that's not binding on anybody, it's just one man's opinion, or one woman in this case. I mean, the suggestion was made at the last board meeting to request an Attorney General's opinion. The quickest way to bring it to a head would probably be to file a declaratory judgment lawsuit and ask the judge to decide who's right or wrong.
Okay, well, again, the request that was by consensus from this legislative body was actually an exercise to anticipate voluntary compliance by the Palaca Housing Authority. I think that one way or the other, once we have whatever we have, there need to be a time certain, and if we're going to be moving toward some kind of declaratory statement, judge, coming from the judge, something that is binding, we need to be making steps in that order because, again, this particular issue, I think we have made it plain to all concerned that this is not taxes that you're paying. This is services that are being rendered and provided to all dwellings. And so for some reason, we're not on the same page with that. And I just don't want it to become bogged down. And I certainly hope that the commission will allow us to keep getting updates, but the updates need to be moving us toward resolution because we certainly don't just want reports. We want resolution.
I agree.
Well, what is the direction? I mean,
How long do we think before we'll get at least some kind of statement back from AG office?
Oh, I don't have any idea of that time frame.
Okay, so
there's no rhyme or reason to how long they take, but I guess what I'm suggesting is whatever we get back.
It's not going to change what we need to do, correct?
That's right.
Correct.
So what is this board's feeling about council preparing? Because obviously we're serious about the adverse fiscal impact that this is having, and everybody has to operate in good faith.
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chairman, I'm sorry. Commissioner.
Go ahead, Vice Chairman.
I was going to say, I concur with the chairman. If we can speed up the process and go ahead and take the next step in the judicial process to move this along, I think we should go ahead and do it. As you're saying, I'm guessing the AGO's opinion maybe just is a feather in our cap, so to speak. As it moves forward, it really doesn't carry anything other than if we got their approval, it's on our side.
Correct.
Well, my recommendation would be that we move forward and take the next step to move to some sort of resolution.
District 4.
I concur.
Yeah.
I would like to go under council's recommendations, whatever he wants to proceed with.
Got a blank check.
I want to proceed with retirement. That's
This is your department.
And it's getting up here.
Well,
That's all I'm saying in short.
All right.
Well, we are in a hurry. Can we call the Attorney General's office and say,
yeah, I'll give you their number. I think the fundamental point is the Attorney General's opinion, as I'm reading sort of between the lines, is, first of all, it's not binding. It'll certainly indicate that it may or may not indicate, if it's in our favor, it'll indicate that our interpretation wasn't frivolous anyway. But reading the letter from Council for the Housing Authority, they will see, I believe their position will be, just as I said, if it's in their favor, they'll say, we told you so, and if it's against them, they'll say, so what? Not binding.
okay,
Well-
here's what I'm thinking. If I were a local judge and I knew that you sent off for an opinion from the Attorney General, would I want to supersede what the Attorney General had to say and go ahead and rule, or would I kind of wait around for y'all to get an answer? So are we really going to get it done quicker?
Well, my suggestion would be, if we're gonna file a declaratory judgment action, is to go ahead and do it and forget about the Attorney General's opinion.
Can we get this commission to make a decision on for the filing of a declaratory judgment today? Is that possible?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we go ahead and file a declaratory judgment with the courts.
I would second that.
Have a proper second. Further discussion? You've had time to deliberate and to discuss. District 1.
No.
District 2.
Yes.
District 4.
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
District 3. Yes. Council, is that clear enough direction?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And secondly, we received proposals on our solid waste collection contract last Friday. I think a copy of the summary sheets of those proposals has been put in your box. I did want to remind the board that the cone of silence that the RFP implemented is still in place. That means there should be no communication between any of the 4 companies that put in bids and any commissioners, and that cone of silence will remain in effect until final action is taken on the solicitation, and a violation of the cone of silence will render a company's bid void or render any contract entered into as a result of that bid void. So the sanctions are severe, so we just need to be careful until this whole process is complete. The cone of silence is still in effect.
Okay, council, that cone of silence would cover Waste Management, Waste Pro, Republic Services, and Advance.
Correct.
Those 4 entities are the entities that submitted rates for residential collection
That's
services. Okay. Any questions on the comments from council?
I do. I do. I asked you this morning about the committee, and does that refer out to our mayors, and are they familiar with this? Because
Yes, I sent them a memo.
okay, so they do know that they're under that same code of silence. It's not just us making the decision up here. Okay.
Yep, I sent a memo to the members of the district.
Okay. Council, what else do you have, sir? Our clerk of courts.
I have no items, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, sir. District 1. Anything else?
I guess that I still feel a little uneasy about our discussion earlier about forgiving fines. And I feel that each case has its own merit.
Correct.
We look at each one as best we can. The first one was a man who came forward and helped us solve a problem and went to a lot of expense. And I think we were justified in supporting that. The second one was someone that not only was poor, but had a debilitating illness, came to see us. We could see that he was in bad shape. His prognosis was not good. We hated for him even to have to wait to listen to what we had to say. And I felt justified again. I hate that 2 of them appeared at the same time. Not very often in our history have we just forgiven the debt. But I felt that the situation was such that I couldn't honestly feel good about passing that on. The third one, the people did not come forward. It makes a difference to me if they come and plead their case and we hear the whole thing. They didn't care enough to come or send a note or call or whatever. And so I guess, in fairness, you asked the question, why should we not forgive this one? Our county's full of poor people. Yes, it is. And without them coming forward and having it already gone before the special magistrate, they did not complain at that time, and they did not come to us to ask for a change. So to answer your question, yes, it was 3 separate cases, and that's how I felt about each one. And I know that we need to collect money that we can when we can, because it costs us money to have the cases and to try to make Putnam County a more acceptable place to live. So I certainly support code enforcement. I'm glad that we do it. but I just wanted you to understand from my heart where I'm coming from. And I don't mean to, I have to admit I'm the first one to feel sorry for someone. But I certainly do not feel bad about the decisions that I made, and I wanted you to understand and respect our feelings, or my feelings, for those particular ones.
Do you think I disrespected your feelings?
Yes,
Okay.
I did.
Publicly apologize to you because I was advocating for the board as a whole for us to, and I'm drilling the board to make sure that when we make decisions, I'm not questioning your decision, I'm not questioning your reasoning, because I'm as empathetic as anybody else is up here. And so I'm not questioning that. I'm drilling us to make sure that all of us are really drilling down, thinking things through, so that when it's all said and done, I'm drawing the department in, I'm drawing the attorney in, everybody. I'm not questioning the decision, because when it's all said and done, we are one. And so I don't want anybody to misinterpret my role here as moderator. I was not condemning any of the decisions. I was drilling us to make sure that not only these cases, but the cases that are coming to us, that all of our deliberations are as fair and as equitable. So I don't have a problem with your decision no more than you would have with mine. So I apologize if you took it that way, but that's not the case.
I did not want an apology, but I wanted you to understand where we were coming from. I didn't have an answer at the moment. I've been sitting here thinking about it. I didn't want our meeting to end today without us smoothing the water. We always understand that each of us come from our own life's experiences, and I'm glad that we had that talk. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly. District 1. District 2.
I want to take it up a notch.
All right.
I want to report through Animal Services, we have been working in this facility, this complex, a adoption center for our animals out at the Animal Control Center, and we're going to have our first adoption event July 11th and 12th. And I just want to encourage anybody looking for a fine cat or dog, we'll have them available at a very reduced sum, possibly, I don't know what that'll be, but it'll be a bargain. So keep that in mind. I'm very proud of the volunteers and the Animal Control Service Committee. They're doing a great job. We're really getting those numbers down. As far as euthanization, we're getting to very close to no kill. And thank you, Brian Hammonds and his whole staff. This is not Brian's favorite committee, but I really publicly thank you for the
Yes.
Improvements we've made.
We do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Thank you so much. District 4.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much, and I really want to applaud the commissioners, my fellow commissioners, for all of the hard work today. You know, I agree, Commissioner Harris, we all come from different backgrounds, and that's what makes us unique and special. And like I've said before, I know for a fact we're all trying to move Putnam County forward in our own way, and that's really, it's a pleasure to serve with you. I do want to thank you for authorizing today for us to continue with the Competitive Florida grant application. We're on a very limited time schedule there, but we hope to have something in the chairman's hands for signature and submittal within the next week. So thank you again for everything.
District 5.
Gonna kick that dog a little more, so to speak, and not literally.
No, she made a sign that wouldn't be fond of you.
Very, very empathetic to the gentleman's health issues, absolutely. But I think the chairman was correct in that if we had let it go back to staff and to council, that he evidently was not in love with the property and was willing to release it in the county. It would have made him happy, and it would not have been attached to his homestead, and the county could have recouped the cost. And that was my reason in voting the way I did and the way I felt about it. That's done. Now I'm going to blow my own trumpet a little bit.
Oh,
Next Wednesday, I will be graduating from the advanced county commissioner class.
Well, you need it.
It's a long, hard road. Commissioner Flagg is right behind me. He had a situation where he had to miss a class, but he's going to make that up very shortly, and he'll be in the next graduating class. But that'll be next Wednesday in St. Augustine at Sawgrass, or World Golf Village. Yeah.
We are proud of you.
Soccer.
Yes, we
Certainly,
are.
it's not a situation where it's an honorary situation of
Lot of hours.
achievement. It's been well earned, and the classes have certainly been awesome to help us be better at what we are seeking to do in serving our community. And so, congratulations.
Thank you.
Certainly in order.
Look forward to you joining the
Yes, sir.
alumni.
You paved the way, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I forgot, next Wednesday also, I get my certified county commission. I passed mine. So within a year, I jumped right in there and took all the courses I could take. And I thank the citizens of Putnam County for allowing me to do that. But I tell you, it's been an eye-opening experience. And I've learned a lot. And next Wednesday, I'll be joining my colleague up there for graduation also.
CCC and ACC.
There you go.
Wow. It's wonderful. It's wonderful for us, contrary to what many believe, when we interact with our colleagues throughout the state of Florida and the Florida Association of Counties, and then when we also interact with the Small County Coalition, how we're able to take issues that we think are so unsurmountable, and see that their issues sometimes make ours look like a drop of water in the ocean. But coming together, brainstorming, and finding out what best practices are, it's really great.
Right. And just for those that may have concerns, when we go to these meetings, Carl sits way over there with another group of commissioners from somewhere else in the county or state, and I'm over here with another group from within the state. So
We honor
don't
the
have,
sunshine.
We honor the sunshine. We don't have any interaction.
Yes. Okay.
Keep us in line.
All right. Thank you so very much. And again, the achievements. And I want to assure all of my colleagues that I don't take anything personal up here. I think we have healthy debate, healthy discussion. It helps our citizens also to understand that we are diverse in our thoughts. And when we deliberate and debate, none of us are angry and upset and troubled and disturbed at each other. But it's just a part of the process, is to make sure that things are properly vetted, and that all of us are really giving of ourselves passionately. And I believe in all 5 of us there. And Voice of Reason, District 1, you don't ever have to justify. We know that you think things through there. And we're just proud of the fact that we all are diverse. And if all of us thought the same way, we'd need 5 of us up here.
That's correct.
So thank you very kindly. I think we go into recess.
Correct.
Is the plan. We do go into recess until 5:05. The Planning and Development Services second public hearing on case number CA-15-001, amendment to Article 12 of the Land Development Code related to classification of subdivisions at 5:05. At 6:00 p.m. There will be a workshop, public workshop, dealing with fire services throughout our county. And it's an opportunity for an analysis and an assessment of the level of service that we provide throughout the county there, so that the commissioners can hear from all of the departments and also do some brainstorming as far as how we're going to move forward. Entertain a motion to recess.
So moved.
And we're in recess, 5:05 p.m. Wow, we can go to Rotary today.